Despite U.S. efforts to restrict Iranian maritime trade through the strait, Iran is turning to shifty strategies to keep going. One key factor is a hidden network backed by China that helps support Iran's oil black market. Iran is cooperating with China in an elaborate scheme to get Iranian oil to China to fund their wartime operations in an elaborate scheme using what's called a dark fleet. Now, let's uncover this. Iran has old aging ships that they've loaded oil on for years, and recently in months during the war, anticipating the war, we believe there's 90 million barrels of Iranian oil outside the Strait of Hormuz. They got that out before the blockade, and they've got roughly 1,500 ships of these aging ships. Now, here's the path. There's three phases. It starts in Iran. They load the old oil ships and send them all the way down here into what is a nautical no man's land called the Eastern Outer Port Limits. It's in the Strait of Singapore, just off the coast of Malaysia. And what happens there is the whole operations secrecy. They connect ship to ship to Asian, Chinese shipping ships that come in and they sit next to each other. They transfer the oil from the Iranian old ship into the new Asian ship, and they disguise it, mask it, and relabel it before it then goes up to China. Remember, 90% of Iranian oil is going to China. China gets 40% of all of their oil from Iran. This is the pipeline of the shadow fleet that's been going on. When they did the ship to ship, before they put them on there, they used disabling trackers to get the ships into this secret nautical no man's land. They paint over identity numbers of the ships so they can't be identified, and they change the flags from which the ships are coming from. And what happens when the ship-to-ship happens, once it leaves the strait and heads to China, it's relabeled as being from a questionable Malaysian source, and it's not tracked, and it's all done illegally, despite U.S. sanctions specifically on this oil. Let's bring in now Fox Business's Lauren Simonetti, who has been on the tip of the spear of bringing us all of the important information. And Lauren, this is a big deal. Well, I tried to explain it there, but you know better than anyone. How significant is this?
That was great, Griff. I mean, and this is who we're dealing with. Folks that paint the identity numbers of ships and turn off the transponders to do something that is illegal by the international community. How big of a deal is this? Well, you said the numbers. There's 90 million or $9 billion worth of Iranian illicit oil on these old ships. And I want to point out the age because it means that there could be oil spillage. There could be a leak. They put that oil on those ships and then they go undercover to send it to China, who buys 90% of their oil and keeps their economy afloat. We have had this blockade and we have had sanctions for years on the Iranian system. The reason that China is able to continue to pay Iran is because that oil was loaded before the blockade. It takes a few months to get to its destination. So with this system, Iran will still be paid by China through October. We have to wait this out.
Yeah, you know, Tanker Tracker gave you some satellite images that I want to show our viewers. I think it's so significant. This is a collection of the months that we have been seeing this operation. There it is. All of these ships side by side. That is the illegal, illicit transfer of this oil. And actually, you are hearing this morning that there may be something more coming on this.
Okay, so these images are the clearest ones that we could find. This happening over the past few months, as we've noted, in an operation that's been choreographed for years. Thousands of these have taken place since the year 2019. If you look at the green ships in some of those photos, typically a green ship, as it appears on the satellite image, is the feeder ship. Right now, this morning, there is a stationary feeder that loaded just off of Karg Island in Iran. That's their main export terminal. And that feeder ship stays there. It keeps loading, and the red ships come up to it, hook up, they take the oil from the feeder ship, and they send it when they can through the Strait of Hormuz and down through that intricate pathway to the Eastern Outer Ports limits and eventually to China. This rinse, wash, repeat. This is what they've been doing. We know about it. There's not much that you can do about it. China what they do with all of this, they log zero imports of Iranian oil. They say they get nothing from Iran. Guess how much they got last year from Malaysia? Well, I should say in the first 4 months of this year, 126 million barrels of oil.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And so
they conceal it all.
To your point about not being able to do anything, we are seeing the administration take action. Late Thursday afternoon, the Treasury Department put out a list of sanctions that were specifically targeting this shadow fleet, this dark fleet. But the reality is, as we're laying out, once they get this scheme into the little nautical no man's land that we're showing, there really isn't much it seems we can do.
Yeah, you have to identify the ship, and if they have a tarp over it or if they've blacked out the numbers and shut off the AIS signals, what can you do? It's also, you're dealing with Malaysia. Malaysia has somewhat of a neutral foreign policy. So this is very difficult to police. The sanctions don't necessarily matter because when China gets their oil, they call them teapot refineries. They don't even operate within the international banking system. So they're using Chinese currency and all that. And then China they cite, foreign and international law saying we don't have to abide by these sanctions in some instances because they'll hurt our economy because they need the oil.
Well, it seems the administration should put some pressure on China to knock this off and put an end to it. And as we watch the president now working out this potential peace deal with Iran, this may be a part of addressing it. Lauren Simonetti, your reporting has been fantastic, outstanding on